Hello. We're going to continue our discussion about trig functions, and today we're going to be referring to computing the values of trig functions of acute angles. So let's begin. Alright, so we're going to find the exact values of the trig functions for the pi over 4 of 45 degrees. Alright, so if we have a 45 degree triangle, we have ABC. Remember, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, on a 45-45 9-degree triangle, remember from high school geometry that the legs, the a and the b, are both the same number. So we're going to make those ones. And by using the Pythagorean theorem, that would make the hypotenuse the square root of 2. Because remember, it's 1 squared plus 1 squared, which is 2, and then you take the square root of it. So 1 square root of 2. Now, if you remember from a previous video, the SOHCAHTOA, then it's pretty much straightforward to be able to evaluate these angles. So sine of 45 degrees, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse, which has the value of 1 over root 2. Now, we like to keep the radicals out of the bottom. It's just because of simplification issues. We multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2, and we get square root of 2 over 2. Now, the cosine of 45 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse. So if you notice, that will be exactly the same idea because opposite and the adjacent sides are both 1s. So you'll get the same value. So if you want to know, well, what's the sine of 45 degrees, well, it's root 2 over 2, and that's something you just need to memorize. Now, square root of 2 over 2, if you use a calculator to calculate that, that's 0.7071. And if you take the sine of 45 degrees using the calculator button on your calculator, it will give you 0.7071. So the calculators will give you these values, but not in an exact form. All right, so the tangent of 45 degrees is opposite over adjacent, and they're both 1s. B and A are both 1s, and so the answer is 1. So yeah, if you take the tangent of 45 degrees on a calculator, if your calculator is in degree mode, you would get 1. And the remaining 3 is just the reciprocal of these 3. So if you take the cosecant of 45 degrees, it's the reciprocal of sine, recall, and so that's going to be just the square root of 2. Because 1 over the square root of 2, the reciprocal, that is the square root of 2 over 1, which is the square root of 2, and that's ditto with this, the secant of 45 degrees. Its reciprocal is square root of 2 over 1, which is the same. The cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent, and of course the reciprocal of 1 over 1 is still 1 over 1, so the cotangent of 45 degrees is also 1. So these are the 6 values for the trig functions at 45 degrees. This is something you just need to memorize. This is not something that you want to recreate every single time. And so this is because you use this quite often. So when you're trying to find, well, somebody asks you, well, what's the cosecant of 45 degrees? You should be able to figure that on your own with mental work, not with having to draw a picture of this. So on that goes for all of these. So, all right, let's look at an example that we're trying to evaluate, finding the exact value of some trig expressions. The cosine of 45 degrees times the cosecant of 45 degrees. Now recall, that's your triangle. So the cosine of 45 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse, which we remember is the square root of 2 over 2. And then the cosecant is also square root of 2 over 1, because remember the sine of 45 degrees is 1 over the square root of 2, and so the cosecant is its reciprocal. And if you do the math, square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2, and then 2 times 1 on the bottom is also 2, and so that gives you the value of 1. All right? And the tangent of 45 degrees times the sine of 45 degrees. Remember the tangent of 45 degrees? What is that? It's b over a, 1 over 1, which is 1. Remember, you're going to eventually need to memorize these. So the tangent of 45 degrees is 1. The sine of 45 degrees is 1 over the square root of 2, because it's opposite over hypotenuse, which makes it square root of 2 over 2, rationalizing the denominator. So you get 1 times the square root of 2 over 2, which is the square root of 2 over 2. So that's how that works. So now, so basically we're making use of the memorization of this. So recall though that these 6 values at the trig function at 45 degrees And whether it's written as 45 degrees or pi over 4 is also 45 degrees. Recall that. So 45 degrees, pi over 4, it's ditto. It's the same thing. Alrighty? So that concludes this discussion. If you have any questions on it, let me know. Have a good day.